Hello, Peter Boolkah here, and welcome to today's edition of the Transition Guy. Now, in today's episode, I want to look at workshops, seminars, and the importance of ongoing education and calibration. Now, very often, about 4 times a year, I attend a seminar, so I try to space it out so it's every quarter. Every quarter, I make sure that I'm getting a lot of new information, a different perspective, a different sense of learning. Why do I do that? I do that from the point of view that I need to make sure that I'm absolutely current. As you can imagine, the world around us is changing so fast. The rules are changing, the world's changing, and if we don't keep up, if we don't keep fresh, the chances are we're not going to be able to perform at our highest level in industry today, and it's a fact. Where before we could get away with just doing the same stupid stuff and make money, it's not the case anymore. And very often when I sort of go to these events, I kind of take my clients with me, because I think it's really important that we educate ourselves together, that we're on this journey as a team. And the reality is a lot of my clients at the very beginning, they are quite nervous about the whole education front, the whole going to seminars, etc. They feel very intimidated. Why do they feel very intimidated? Well, because perhaps the way that they've been taught how to learn isn't the most conducive to how they should learn. I mean, let's face it, in most countries around the world, they adopt a very Victorian education system, where we have to read loads of books, make shitloads of notes, and then be able to recite it once a year in a fucking examination that we're then never going to refer back to again. And that's the fact. It's all about chucking information into our head. How much of this stuff can we retain? How much of this stuff can we absolutely memorize? And then how much of it can we recite? And for so many entrepreneurs out there, especially with my clients, the reality is school wasn't their best friend. The majority of them happened to be dyslexic, so that the way they were taught was totally inappropriate for them. And in all fairness, they didn't particularly enjoy their time at school. It doesn't mean that they're not intelligent. It just means that they learn differently. And it was interesting. I had a really good realization with a client this week. So we went to an event. It was 4 hours. In all fairness, I did have to drag them along with me, screaming and shouting, because they were coming up with all these reasons why they shouldn't attend. I am really busy, this, that, you know what it's like. We can always find something else to do than do the things that we need to do. And eventually I managed to persuade him. There was about 10 of us that went. And the reality was, we had a blast. We spent time going up together, having a chat. The fact that we were outside of our businesses afforded us a different perspective. We then turned up to the seminar. It was a great seminar. It was 4 hours long. Yes, and you had people out there that would be taking tons and tons and tons of notes. And if that's the way that they learn, and then they go back to their notes, revisit them, that's brilliant. But he said to me, Peter, I'm not taking notes. And I said to him, don't worry about it, just be present. Just listen. Because at the end of the day, we will take on board the information we need that serves us at this moment in time. It's not about memorizing everything full stop. That's not the purpose. The purpose is making sure that we take away. And his comment to me at the end was, I've learned something today, that you do not have to study for 4 continuous hours. That actually it's taking the 1 or 2 salient points that they can actually implement in their business and make a huge difference. And that is such a fact. I remember about 5 years ago, I was in Portugal and I was in an action coach event called the Business Excellence Forums. And these are now truly world-class events where normally over 2 days you have 8 different speakers. Now, when you have 8 speakers, are they all going to resonate with you? Absolutely not. There are some speakers that I just cannot connect with. Doesn't mean that they're not great speakers. It's just that they're not my kind of speaker. And I remember in Portugal, I took one takeaway. So you can imagine 2 days of learning, I took one pivotal thing away, and it was something that Sir Clive Woodward said, the ex-England rugby coach. He said that he noticed that in life you have two kinds of people. You have the people that are sponges and the people that are rocks. Now the people that are sponges are those that are willing to learn. These are the people that you'll chuck information at, you'll chuck things at them, and they'll just absorb it. They're very sort of easy to mould. They're very malleable. And then you've got the rocks. Your rocks are your immovable objects. No matter what you throw at them, it isn't happening. They're just steadfast. Nothing's ever going to change. And in a world of change, guess what we need? We need sponges, not rocks. And my clients absolutely loved that. That was the biggest takeaway for all of them. That they looked at their people and they said, okay, what are you going to be? Are you a sponge or a rock? Now, if you're a sponge, we can work with you. But if you're a rock, we need to move as a business and you're just holding us back. It was very easy then to make people decisions. So I urge you all, yes, you can always find other things to do, but you've got to get onto the learning ladder. You've got to get out there, do the workshops, do the seminars, and more importantly, over the years, I encourage my clients to bring their senior team with them. And the reason I do that, it's good for a team to learn together. Because actually, as we learn together, guess what we see? We see things from a different perspective. We see things from a different point of view. And because we're all out of work, we're not in our natural environment, it's easier to say, okay, well, do you know what? This is what we've learned. This is how we're going to implement it. And it's better than very often the boss just going and doing a seminar and then trying to get this team to understand what was said, trying to get their buy-in, and then trying to get them to help implement it. Whereas if you're there with your team, you're on it together. You've learned together, you can do the action plan together, you can do the implementation together. It is far, far easier than trying to do it all yourself. Now, if something today has resonated with you and you would like more information, head over to boolkah.com and get in touch. I will be more than happy to share with you the events I'm going to be attending this year, why I'm attending them, and more importantly, how it can benefit you and your team. There was one thing that sort of Stephen Covey said years and years ago. There is all the stuff that Stephen Covey brought to sort of the forefront in his books and his sort of seminars and his workshops. None of it was new. The reality is when we sort of get information, it's very easy to fall into that trap. Nothing is new. But the reality is, it's not about it being new. It's about us getting that different perspective, that different spin on it, that will give us that different level of understanding that allows us to behave differently, act differently, and implement differently. Do not expect to go to seminars and just learn new. Too often, I see so many people that, yeah, they totally know what to do, but they don't do what they know. Well, thank you for tuning in to today's episode, and remember, failing to learn is learning to fail.